just finding creative ways to connect with folks using live on Instagram.
Be your authentic self and you'll attract the clients that will meant for you.
My aha moment was when Dr. TK was just breaking down like the characteristics of a CEO. Getting my mind turned like, okay, this is what it really takes to elevate as a CEO.
Hey, great day, everybody. Good evening. Happy Monday. So your girl just finished drinking a good warm cup of tea. It is 9:15 Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast. I know it is definitely late on the East Coast, but I wanted to hop over here to answer some questions that I have not had the chance and opportunity to dive into from YouTube to TikTok to Instagram. Super grateful for the community, super grateful for those who are in my DM, who are on my threads telling me, what are you doing in especially the mental health field? We just celebrated hard Juneteenth, and it should be every day of the year anyway. But some of these conversations today really stemmed from me stitching together a video of different live events that I've hosted, using whatever sound populated, I think on TikTok, exported that video, put it over on YouTube and on Instagram, and I closed out the apps and went about my day. And all of a sudden, when I opened back up the app, it was so many comments. And I'm like, what is going on? And I had to go back and read my caption. And I was like, oh, I told y'all to tag somebody, right? And one thing that I was telling my husband last night is like, perfectionism is the thief of like your joy. Perfectionism is the thief of your joy. What do I mean by that? It was about 10,000 views at this point, at least on Instagram. And I realized I had a typo in the first sentence. And I tried to go back and fix it, but I couldn't because I like boosted the post on Instagram so more clinicians could see it, more for brand awareness. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm human. I make mistakes. Sometimes I move too fast. And it's okay because some people would have archived the whole post. But I said, you know what? At the end of the day, the post did what it was supposed to do. And so I'm going to be going over some questions that people have been asking me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, especially the DMs where no one can see. I'm not going to mention any names, but I am going to cover topics that if you are new to me, you may not even know a little bit about or a lot about my background. You may just see like the shiny object part of the live events, the launches, me showing up and doing pre-recorded videos and all the things and travel and all that kind of stuff. But I want to share more behind the scenes. And so first things first, let me answer this burning question. Like, when is the next live event? So let me be clear. People tend to go to social media for entertainment. I love music and I love to dance and I love connection. I also have recognized that when I put out educational content, it hits, but it don't hit as hard as let me help y'all connect with one another and me, and let me put some fire music behind it. And so the live event in which I had on the 80s gear, that was from May, Memorial Day weekend of 2024, the Boris L. Hinton Foundation. You can find them on their website or on Instagram as well. This is Taraji P. Hinton's nonprofit foundation for mental health, supporting the Black community and all the great things that we do over there. But I was a part, or I have been a part of that community since 2018. I have been a part of the advisory board and then other roles that I've had more behind the scenes. I've done the trainings for the mental health providers there when they were first onboarding the providers. And it was really, really fun, but I always make sure that I stay connected no matter what, because a lot of them are on the East Coast. So when they had this event on the East Coast, I had got my ticket literally 2 weeks before we left. And I went, and I wasn't supposed to go, but something came up and then I was asked to come, and then I ended up hosting a panel about entrepreneurship and self-care, and it was really fun. And I'm so glad that I was in the building because, of course, your girl had fun. Even before the party, we had fun just going to the different breakout sessions. But I'm bringing this up because I actually invited one of my clients. I'm like, hey, meet me here. You in New York. Can you catch a train to DC? It's about a 3-hour time, on the train. And she was like, for sure, I can go the first day or the one day. So I went out there, and I want to break down how you can take advantage of going to live events to make the best for yourself, your business, content creation, and just your creativity. So I went out there a day early before the event started, and the first day I got there, that pretty much was a wash. The second, actually, I got there 2 days early because I didn't realize what the schedule was. And then the second day I got there, it was a networking mixer, but it didn't start till 5 o'clock. So I was by myself, solo travel, 3,000 miles away from my family, very last minute. So no planning around it. And I decided to bring my tripod in my backpack, or technically in my suitcase, but put it in my backpack when I got there. I got dressed up. And if you see any pictures that are in front of the state capitol or on that whole like Capitol Hill situation that I use a lot, especially around digital products, because it looks like a photo shoot that I did on my cell phone. I actually spent about 2 hours on Capitol Hill doing my own photo shoot with my tripod with my little remote control. It wasn't busy, so I figure out ways that I can position myself where it don't look like nobody there with me. And then I always see people going into the state capitol, and I had never been in there to do a tour, but we just usually walk past it because when we're typically in DC with my family, we're out there when it's muggy hot, super busy, and I ain't trying to stand outside. So the line when I first got there was long. It looked like it was a high school. Then when I was leaving, the line got very short. So I went down there and I asked the guy, can I go inside? Because you can't really see in the doors. And I went inside and realized I can do all of these tours for completely free. I went and saw the history of the different books from the Bibles. I had a great time. It's a whole vlog on my YouTube channel about it, but I had a great time. But I'm bringing this up because I did all of those things unexpectedly, going with the flow, because I was there for a live event. Now, what that ended up doing for me is helping me create content on my phone where I was able to use that footage for launches and for my digital product sales, right? And Instagram posts and things like that. So from there, went to the mixer. Now, this is where the kicker comes in for mindset as it relates to mental health therapists. And one of my clients coined this beautifully, even though she knew this before she joined our program. When I coach therapists, I am a CE instructor, but I want to be clear. My business events may give you CEs because of your presence and your activity, but your ROI is based on your business results when you leave and what you're able to build in the room. And I say that because when you go to a CE workshop, you pay what? In person, maybe $149 or something like that. You get 6 CEs, you might get lunch, you might not. And their job there is to make sure that they give you the highest value of information to make you a better therapist. Now, I, on the other hand, do CEs where I want people who already know they're a great therapist. I want you to be a great entrepreneur. So the ROI on entrepreneurship level upness in your business has a higher ROI. So if I told you that in 2 days, when I'm going to teach you what you're going to implement in the room and what you're going to leave with, you can use over and over again for the entirety of your business, maybe with some refreshers, and you can get at minimum, as long as you follow my instructions and do the work, you can get at minimum 10 times the ROI. Would you go to the event? And the answer would be yes. But typically what happens is, and from my client's perspective, people compare the CE workshop investment of $149 or CEs for less, no shade, but whatever you pay over there, or, maybe free these days to get CEs through these different platforms. You compare the strategy to keep up with your license to keeping up and growing a business. And those are not the same. The investment is not the same because the experience and the ROI is not the same. So I wanted to say that because people will run me down in my DM and they will say, I want to come to the event. I want to come to the event. And when it comes down to securing a spot, it's like crickets. However, my clients talk back to me because I ask questions and I'm like, what do you think is going on with therapists? How do you think how do you see the live event? And most people will tell me, no lie, if I had never watched your content, been to one of your live events, or been to a boot camp where we can spend time with you and see you teach and shift our mindset mostly, a lot of them may be resistant to see the value in the live event. So as a therapist entrepreneur, you're going to be presented throughout your entrepreneurship livelihood of two different types of live events. There will be some that are highly focused on evidence-based practice, CEs, ethics, all the gamut, and you should do those. You have to do those, right? But then there are going to be other events, whether it's therapist led by myself or for marketing or writing a book. And the reason why, again, those investments are typically higher is because the ROI is greater. Okay. So, in a nutshell, that was the live event from May 2024. Now, all these other stitched up events from me having on a gold dress, a pink suit, Black, Vegas, New York, Orlando, those are all of my events. Now, we only have one more event for the remaining part of the year. It is in Las Vegas. Our New York event has been sold out for months. That one was limited based on that boardroom to up to 20 people. So that event is sold out because that includes me and my team as well. Then we have a Vegas event, and it's an intimate setting in a hotel room with a conference room inside of it. We typically have no less than 4 people in the room. We can technically seat up to 16. The sweet spot in the conference room area is 8, but I've recognized too, when people come to Vegas, they really actually open up more when we're sitting on the couch outside and when we're moving back and forth from the couch to the conference room. And so this is why for this one, we have technically right now we have 5 seats left, but that's under the expectation that other seats are going to some of our clients. So I'll just leave it at that. So we have 5 more seats. So if you're interested in specifically digital products and you want to build out the process of your launch in the room, that event will be 2.5 days. The 0.5 is really the meet and greet. Let's connect. Maybe we'll go out to eat or just go do something, right? Or just hang out in the room. But we're going to meet up for a few hours so everybody can walk into the room on the full first and second day, and they know who one another is or when they see each other downstairs, etc. So if you do want to go and apply to the Vegas event, because we have been getting on Zoom with some people after we get the applications, we have turned away people because it is an exclusive event. I only want people there who have a vision of generating 15 to 20K months at some point in their mental health business. I only want people there who are launching non-clinical services such as digital products, coaching programs. You want to relaunch something, because we don't have enough time in 2 days, the way this is structured, to help you fully launch a private practice or a group practice. That's why we are doing the boot camp. That boot camp is wide available. If you go to the link on my Instagram, if you DM me the word WFE on Instagram, then I will send you the link. We did day 1 today. It was fire. You will not see it on my YouTube channel because it is unlisted. The only way you're going to get the links is if you are signed up, and the replays are available for a limited time. At the end of that boot camp, we will talk about DTA and DTA Plat. And if people want mentorship for private practice or private practice plus streams of income in 12 months, we will give you information on our mentorship program. That is simple and straight to the point. But that is the only live event that I have left this year. We do not have any live events lined up for next year. That event is going to happen in November around Veterans Day week. So if you want to apply for it, all you have to do is either, if you're on YouTube, technically go to my main page and it's at the top and all those links, it says apply for the Vegas Mastermind. It is a refundable $97 application fee because of the people that we want in the room. If you want everything to be free, I am not the coach for you. You can be on YouTube and get this information for free, but this is as far as it's going to get, and on Instagram. Okay. So, like I said, boot camp was another question that we kept getting. So the replay for day 1 is already available. Day 2, day 3, day 4 will be going live for the rest of this week, and we're going to wrap up on Thursday evening. Now, one of the bigger questions that came through the DMs, and I actually just sent somebody another voice note about this topic, is as people inquire about the live events that usually triggered the conversation over the last few days, I started asking people based off of them inquiring about my business coaching services. I ask people what are their desires and goals for their business, and feel free to leave a voice note because let's just chat. And I like to hear people's thought process. And some of the questions that I've been answering and commenting back to is related to people being in toxic jobs. Some people don't have their idea schedule. Some people want to buy back their time. Some people have a private practice, but they're seeing too many clients, probably not getting paid enough, and the whole gamut, right? And these are the things that we're going to cover in the private practice. But I want to give you a snapshot look of the steps that I took to actually leave my six-figure job, because when people present this information online, it looks like a miracle happened overnight, and nothing that's a journey happens overnight. So I'm really going to share this with you in phases or stages. Okay. So I always knew that I wanted to have a private practice ever since I hit grad school, specifically my PsyD program. In my master's program, my focus was to graduate and decide if I wanted to get my doctorate degree. So that's kind of like where my mind was. When I entered into the PsyD program, I decided to get a book on private practice because I had already had the master's. I had waived a lot of classes, so I had nothing but time outside of my part-time job at Best Buy and my part-time job through work study. And so I knew that I wanted to also work for the county of Los Angeles. Now, I lived in Los Angeles County, grew up in Compton, lived in Compton till I was 38 years old, from 2 to 38, pretty much my whole life. And I decided that the only way, when I was up in the Bay Area, in Richmond area, of like Bay Area, Oakland, the only way I was going to move back down to LA is if I got a job through the county, because I knew that it was stable, if that sounds familiar, right? We say we want stability. So in grad school, desire to have a private practice, wanted to move back home to LA. So I end up securing a APIC. So it's APA, APIC, CPA. This is all California stuff and worldwide. You got to do all these applications or whatever in a match. So I found out at 4:00 in the morning that I was matched with Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health for my pre-doctoral internship during our 4th year of school. This is already after I had done half of my dissertation, because I did not want to move back to LA and then have to keep up with that process. So all I had to do at that point was interpret my results, because I did do interviews and more of a quantitative research study. So moving forward, I did my internship in LA County. And then I knew that I also was very interested in working in juvenile justice. I love working with difficult teens. And so a gentleman, a postdoc, came in and spoke with us. And he said, he pretty much showed us how to use certain language on our resume to match what we now know as the AI system, that they scan our resume to see if we're a match, and then somebody will pull it. And then he also had told us, for those of us who were interested in juvenile justice, that back then, the only way we were going to get in is if somebody retired. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that good? Like, that was my interpretation, is, oh my gosh, it's that great. And so I said, I'm going to get it. So this is where I started practicing manifestation as an adult, but didn't realize it. So moving forward, I finished my pre-doctoral program and the market crashed. So I saw this post yesterday, sidebar. I saw this post yesterday, and this, let me find it on TikTok, y'all. This girl said, no, everybody wonder why. I'm not a millennial. I was born in 1980, so I'm 4 years shy. Okay. I don't even know what I am at this point. Like, it's so many dang on generations. But I love this post. This young lady said, they are wondering why millennials are the most depressed generation, but not realizing we have lived through Y2K. Remember, I don't know if y'all remember that. Y'all probably too young. Where in 2000, we thought that the world was about to end and everybody went and started pulling out their money out the bank. Crazy, right? 9/11, not a good thing. A recession, that's what I'm referring to when I graduated. A pandemic, mass shootings, 2 housing market crashes, inflation, the birth of remote work, the death of remote work, content creators earning more than people who got MBAs, doctorate degrees, lawyers, etc. Now possibly World War III. This was a Kiki McCrae, LPCS. She reposted that from somebody on TikTok. So I just thought that was pretty interesting, considering when you reflect back. So when I graduated, imagine graduating with a 6-figure loan. It's about to go on repayment and you can't find a job. Just imagine that. I'm renting a home in a prestigious Black neighborhood in LA called Leimert Park. I love that neighborhood. Average age is 35 and up, wide streets, no shenanigans where I lived at. Rent back then was $2,000 for a 2-bedroom, like 900 square foot house with a cute little backyard. But I was paying for the proximity in the neighborhood to the people I wanted to be around, prestigious Black people, and, mature people. And so at some point, the money ran out and pretty much my savings account ran out. And so I had a choice. I could either go back and live with my mom, or I can apply for different types of jobs. So I did try to apply for some jobs, and somebody that I used to work with during my pre-doc internship, a social worker, she had said, "Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. I think part of the reason why you're not getting called back is because you have a doctorate on your resume." And I'm like, "Well, that was my degree." And she proceeds to say, "Even though I know you just want a job right now, they're going to see it as, well, she has this degree, therefore we need to pay her this amount." So because that's typically the rule, that doctor degrees earn this amount, and now I understand it because I've worked in the county where there are item lines for certain degrees, that I got turned away simply because of my degree. And the reason I say this to be true, and I tested this theory out, is I sent out a resume with just my master's degree, and I started to get phone calls back. And I was like, wow. Then I applied for Department of Probation. To be a probation officer, it's called DPO2, because you have to have a master's degree. And I'm like, I won't get my clinical hours, but the market is crashing. The market crashed. Like, I need a job. So right when they called me for the second interview to offer, well, not even a second interview, it was to offer me a position. I was driving home from doing an interview through the LA County Department of Mental Health. And I'm missing some gaps in the story, but ultimately I ended up working at LA County. Throughout the crash, I moved back up north, worked at my old practicum site. They had just came into some money, created a position for me, developed my own mental health program. And then within 10 months, they had an opening at LA County. I came back home. I started off at $60K, non-licensed. And then once I got licensed with raises in between, I went up to $78K. Then from $78K, I just kept climbing up the ladder. And then I was also working overtime. So when you work for an institution like that, you also get what's called cafeteria benefits, at least back then. Cafeteria benefits are, I don't have to pay for platinum level of Kaiser, HMO, or your PPO. So that's pretty dope. So those are the things that people get tied into, though. And then like you held hostage and you can't leave. So the toxic environment went a little something like this. I was originally placed in what was considered a toxic environment because of the way we were pulled in through a lawsuit. And I made it my home, and it was fine. It was gravy. But the drive took me out. Driving from Compton to Lancaster, 2 hours to work in traffic, 2 hours back home in traffic. Don't let me even talk about carpooling on the metro. I stopped riding the metro after I saw an incident happen because there was no escape. PTSD is real when you do work in a community, right? And so the 4-hour drive plus 10-hour shift was enough for me. I did that for about a year and a half, which was a long time because you only need to do 6 months to do a transfer, an internal transfer. This is a smart strategic route. If you were able to do this. Before I wanted to leave the county, because I didn't have any desire to leave anytime soon. I love my salary. I love my job. I love my colleagues, but the drive was out. So I said, let me go test out working in 2 different other facilities to see if it's just the destination and the drive that's bothering me and burning me out. You got to measure burnout. So I first start doing overtime during the holidays at the juvenile hall. And it was quiet. I should have known it was a red flag when it just looked like it was the desert and I was on my own, right? But it was easy because to me, those are kids who are coming straight off the street, and I just do intakes all day. I don't have no therapy clients because I don't work here. I'm just filling in as a floater. And at the camp, I actually have kids on my caseload plus their intake and all these other meetings. And so I did that a few times, and I was like, all right, it's doable. If I work here, I can get to my house in 7 minutes. Oh my gosh. So then I did some overtime at Twin Towers County Jail. And I'm laughing because every time I tell my family or somebody that I work there, they always ask, have you ever ran into somebody that you know? My homeboy Rob. That's all I'm going to say about his name. So I was doing a tour of the holding tank downstairs in Twin Towers County Jail. And a psychiatrist was giving me like the rundown and stuff like that. When you work with adults, man, in jail, it's a whole other level, right? Of like doing the intake and stuff. And it's just interesting because some of them will like cry at the drop of a dime just so that they don't have to go to general population. And I'm like, sir, like I just heard you gang banging right there. Like, I'll knock it off. So, anyways, not saying you can't be depressed and gang bang, but I'm just saying like this, it felt like a show. So as I was doing my tour, they're being transported all over the facility, right? And you know how you feel like somebody looking at you? So I look and it's this guy I knew through like friends or whatever. And so like we promoted for clubs or whatever. So my name is Takesha. People call me Keish. TK was fairly new, right, in the 2000s. And so I know when somebody know me from back in the day because they say my whole government name, right? And so I heard somebody yell, Takesha, Takesha. And I'm like, I was praying that this day wouldn't come. And so I looked over because I didn't know who it was. I'm like, gotta be somebody from Compton, right? And so I looked over and it was somebody that I knew. And the psychiatrist was like, do you know him? And I was like, yeah. Like, because I didn't know what to say, but I'm ethical. I don't want to lie, right? Because I don't know hell. But like, if that's going to impact me being able to do an intake, I don't know. And so this dude getting on the elevator, it's about 20 dudes on the elevator. I don't even know how they pack them in there like sardines. He in there hopping up and down like, Geish, Geish. And I'm like, I am doing a tour to potentially work here overtime. Not ideal, right? Oh, somebody lives in Laverne Park. Yeah, I love it over there. And so, hey, cousin. And so, so moving forward, did some overtime over there. After about 5 shifts, I was just like, adults in jail, can't do it. I can work with y'all when y'all get out. But inside, I was in the triage center. It may have been different if I was physically in a unit, but they ain't there long term unless they serving out their sentence because they ain't gonna go to prison or something. So fast forward, I'm generating now gross 130K. I'm living my best life. Personal disclosure, I was starting over from a past marriage, which is why I was able to work overtime as much. I didn't have any kids. I had just purchased a big home with 3 bedroom, 3 bath with just me in there. So needless to say, I was having a lot of Sunday brunches at my house and, game nights and stuff like that with my friends. And I was still enjoying life, right? Going to the Essence Festival, hanging out with my friends, whatever, nice car, whatever, having all the material goods and the lifestyle and the mindset and the health that I wanted. And then fast forward, I'm in my relationship with my now husband. And one day after being at the camp, I started working at the juvenile hall because I wanted to be closer to home. Still making the same amount, but also teaching at 3 different colleges and started a private practice. Private practice took off like no other in stages, but I built it from solo practice to 1 intern to 2 interns. They were both marriage and family therapy. Now it's called associates. I hired one at a time. I had a lot of learning lessons with employment taxes and all that kind of stuff, employment, payroll, whatever. And then structure. I realized that quickly my private practice structure was not enough for a group practice. So all the things that I teach therapists right now are due to full learning experiences and then building out systems. And that's what I was good at in the county, is doing quality assurance anyway. So fast forward, at 4:00 in the morning, after working at the juvenile hall, working at the camp, also I did aftercare. I had worked in a few, like 3 locations in juvenile justice. I was tapped out. I went to the doctor twice. And they said you might be in stress, or you might be stressed out. And I'm like, I can't be stressed out. I love my job. But they said pretty much my body is going through fight or flight response. So they're the doctors, but I mean, they didn't scan me to see if anything was wrong. I guess you can't see anxiety, you know what I'm saying? And so I had tension headaches. I was feeling nauseated. During certain mornings when I'm driving to work, I will pull over and, let it all out. And my tension headaches, like somebody was in my brain, squeezing my head, was going on back and forth until I left work. The only time they will go away is when I was seeing the kids or doing something that I, really enjoyed or whatever. So I then started looking at what do I need to do to escape? Now, this is where I realized, oh my gosh, I've taken on the language of the people I work with. Like when I get on the outs is you go outside, like meaning they get free, right? But my office was a jail cell. So when you're embraced in that type of community, it just becomes part of you. I'm not saying that I know what their situation felt like. I cannot walk in their shoes. But what I will tell you is working in there is very traumatic. Okay. So I started looking up how much would it cost for me to pay out of pocket for my own insurance. I looked up what did the county cover and how much did they pay? And then I would call those companies and ask them, this is really key. How much would it cost me if I did not work here because the county may have gotten a brokerage deal, like for insurance? Maybe, a person who pays out of pocket, we didn't. But let's just say if I paid out of pocket, I may pay 200. But when I'm outside the county, I may pay 450 for the exact same plan. Now, I knew at some point I wanted to have a baby. So as a woman, I pay attention to things on the checklist because I'm not sitting here trying to figure out if I need to upgrade later. I want all my stuff to be covered. So I went straight to the medical conditions I have with the sections on the insurance breakdown to see if it has a check mark next to it that I get it. And then I went to the maternity section and I looked at how long they give me for free in the hospital without me having to pay. And I'm glad I did that because even though it wasn't through the county and it was through my own insurance, I got an equivalent plan because for those of you who don't know, I went on bed rest at 5 months pregnant. I was teaching at Southwest College in South Central LA. I had to quickly move my shift over or my teaching over to online, but thank goodness a lot of their stuff was on Google Drive, not Google Classroom. I was way ahead of my time before all this AI and Google Classroom stuff started popping off, right? Because I don't believe that everything should be limited to a textbook. These are young people on the internet all the time, so I might as well put your work there. I have so many unlisted YouTube videos on my channel for my students. It's ridiculous during COVID. And so I looked up all those prices and, when I went on maternity leave, I end up having an emergency C-section. So I checked into the hospital on Sunday to induce my labor. His heart rate dropped 4 times after me being in the hospital for a day and a half, but it dropped for the first time in the first 2 hours. So of course it scared me. And then it kept dropping. And then, I did so well. I didn't take any medication until, what was it, the second day. So if I checked it on Sunday, I had them give me the medication on Monday, early morning, early afternoon, morning or whatever, 11. It lasted 24 hours. I was proud of myself. But I'm like, run me that epidural because I watched enough videos to know that if I got to do it, I got to do it. And his heart is dropping. So I need to get him out. Okay. So I'm sharing all that because insurance plays a factor. Now, some people may hear this story and start going into an anxiety spaz out because they see, this is why I want to leave my job because anything could happen. Anything could happen every day. I'd rather, for me, have flexibility with my schedule, time freedom, work location freedom. I've had offices before for over 10 years and I still had location and time freedom. I still had schedule freedom. You create the life that you want to have based off the business that you want to run. You create structure in your business to design the lifestyle that you want. To me, it's that simple. But what is not simple is that we make it complex in our head. Therefore, we become a barrier and we don't get the work done to build out the business. I am cut from a different cloth, and I know that. I believe a lot of people are cut from a different cloth, but they don't want to acknowledge it. They want to run away from their gifts. My gift is teaching. My gift is being organized. My gift is recognizing when there are holes and they need to be plugged up. I'm not perfect. I have holes in other areas of my life. But when it comes down to business, I'm very good at looking at multiple pieces of the puzzle separated and putting them together. That is my job as a mentor. That is my job as a coach. That was my job as a professor and a clinical supervisor for well over 18 years. And so I'm sharing this with you all because I get people asking, how do I prepare to leave a toxic job? And it really starts with the decision to leave the job. And I'm going to say another question to ask yourself is the job that toxic or is the conversation in your mind that you're having every day making it more toxic? Because I try to endure the pain. And the way I show up, and it's been a few jobs or contractual agreement sites that I've been at. And if it ain't killing me, you know what I'm saying, mentally, physically, spiritually, and I can still show up, I'm going to show up and get out of it whatever I can. So I just started putting on my entrepreneur hat. By the time I left the county, I had 8 therapists in a group practice. So talk about cleaning up house. Okay. Your girl was making well over multi 6 figures. Okay. Now, did I publicize that? Hell no. I don't want people my money, business or whatever. But at the end of the day, some people hear my story and they don't hear my story. Meaning they just see that I had a multi 6-figure business and that I have one now. And then they're like, oh, all that's your money in the bank account. That's what family members think. Like, oh, so you got 80,000? Like, no, it's payroll, it's expenses, it's taxes, it's abundant CEO funds, it's paying my team. Like, it's bills that have to be paid. Do I get a paycheck? Yes, ethically, I run payroll, right? Through HR guidelines. But at the end of the day, where I was going with my maternity leave story and like the toxic job is hands down, I don't regret any of my experiences. And I would always rather have my dream schedule and my desired work location and pay out of pocket for insurance, because at the end of the day, it's a tax write-off anyway. I'll go to a live event for my business. Why? Some of y'all need to write this down, but talk to your tax person. Structure your trip to go to the live event on specific days of the week, weekdays. I'll just leave it there. Okay. And my events are always on the weekdays because it's lower cost for y'all to get a hotel room, but it's just easier for us to get out there too. And going to my live events, you're growing and expanding your business. Did y'all know? Let me know in the comment box. Like, did y'all know that going to live events was a tax write-off? Talk to your tax person about what do you do with your receipts from your meals? What do you do with your receipts from Uber or Lyft or car service? Glow it up. Get Uber Black. Protect yourself. You are the asset. That's what my friend had told me. She was like, girl, my coach told me he always do Uber Black because you are the asset and they got a different level of insurance. I said, girl, you ain't saying nothing but a word, right? So Balance said, what a conversation for today, right on time. It's time to shift the way I think about this job. Yeah, it's really about mindset. And the job can fund my practice. Exactly. So thank you for that little nudge. Because when I ain't got no notes, y'all, I go all over the place sometimes. So what I start doing when I'm at a work site that I no longer enjoy, and I stop using the word toxic. Well, I never use the word toxic, but other people these days use the word toxic. But that's not how I describe it. I just say, the management wasn't working for me, so I had to go. And so what I started doing is when we have team meetings, instead of me grunting about why we got to have this meeting about billable hours, I'm above my billable hours. So why am I even here? To be quite frank, like y'all ain't never giving me shit feedback. And so I started paying attention to group dynamics because that teaches me something about how to handle conflict in my group practice. I see how many people get clients that they don't want. So that teaches me to have a conversation with the therapist in my practice around, hey, what kind of clients do you want? People are told that they can't go to CE workshops that the county was going to pay for, but we can't go because we understaff. So therefore, I'm going to have a conversation with my group practice clinicians and say, what kind of trainings do y'all want? I just flipped the script. And yes, my job funded my lifestyle and my private practice. You bet your bottom dollar I stayed there until I couldn't stay there no more. One of the biggest issues right now is that therapists, you're leaving your jobs too prematurely financially and prematurely systems-wise. And I'm not saying that you can't have faith or hope, right? I hope you have faith first. But you want to have faith in systems so that if you currently built a half-time caseload, you will know what to do to build the full one. You don't want to get just one client and say, I made it because I got my first private pay client and I'm just going to replicate this process. Not every client's going to be the same. The market ain't going to be the same. You may have to show up in the marketplace different. I mean, look at me. It is 9:55 p.m. I used to be in bed at 9 o'clock. Let me check my phone. Let me make sure he done took him upstairs. He upstairs yet, my son? Because I'm usually the night owl, right? I said I was going to be done at 9:15, but hell, I didn't start at 9:15 because I decided to go YouTube live stream and stream it on Instagram versus just doing the vertical so that I can convert this over to a podcast because I'm double dipping. But what I'm getting at is I started at 9:15, it's 9:55. I received a download from responding back to all these DMs and comments on Instagram and TikTok. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of new people. Literally, I've gained about 500 followers in 4 days. That's a lot for me, considering the algorithm be, people just be following you and unfollowing you like crazy stuff. So I don't really pay attention at this point today to like vanity metrics in terms of like measuring my growth as a business owner, because people can have a small list and make a whole lot of money, and people can have a big list and make no money. Research is out there. People have millions of followers making no money on t-shirt sales that cost $10. You don't know how to market, right? So Lolly said, I just quit my super toxic job after 7 years. Listen, just make a plan. So if you want to see and assess if you have a private practice or want one, and you want to look at what it takes according to our community to build a private practice, and our system, our process that we teach is foolproof. We've served over 350 therapists in our private practice program. We've hosted over 15 live events for scalable streams of income. We've had 5 cohorts now of our mastermind clients. And then our newer program that is more in the public eye is our mid-tier program, which is our platinum program. That is the clinical supervision, the group therapy. This is all beyond the one-to-one. We're going to be talking about and breaking down all of this with streams of income after your private practice in the boot camp for the next 3 more days. Day 1 replay is already up. So I'm just going to shout out the platforms. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can either go to my YouTube channel, like say view channel, go to the top where the links are, because even my banner says register. And it's not on the bottom of this video, but I'll probably go back and put it up there after I go live. And just simply put the link for the video. You know what? Hold on. Let me, I can link it up right now. I'll be forgetting on live. I could just be like with y'all. Right? On Instagram, all you got to do is comment WFE. Hey, Valen. Yeah, the community is beyond empowering. Okay. Yes, love it. So that's the sign up link. Registration will be available until, you'll still be able to get access to the replays. The replays will come down on pretty much the morning of July 4th. If you're interested in business mentorship, I always recommend to test drive the car. So our community can tell you, I am not one that for our high touch point programs, or at least you get access to submit questions to me, whatever, to personalize your experience. I'm not going to have you join this program and ideally not know what you're signing up for. So I'm very thorough, where we do a 3 to 4 day boot camp when we do have open enrollment periods. We have a Telegram group that goes along with the boot camp so that you can massage that muscle of expanding your mindset and implementing what you've learned in the moment. We have the boot camp typically open for a total of about 12 days or 2 weeks. And we also open up enrollment for our programs anytime we do a multi-day boot camp. But I'm saying this because whether it is a 1-day webinar, 1-hour webinar, multi-day event, in-person event, I always encourage people, when you are invested in something that is going to give you the ROI back of 10 times the investment over and over and over again. Because think about, even if you no longer want to do private practice one-on-one, you can always go back to it. You can always have a refresher. So I love teaching and mentoring around timeless content, not things that are going to expire. And that is how I stand out, because you have access. It is no, you buy this course, you own your own, you need me to check your work. Absolutely not. I'm not available. I have my own private practice. I'm not that mentor. My private practice is in the community. In closing, because this is something I told the clinician, because this is something that they were interested in as well. I take my community inside. I take my private practice inside the community. So this means that I obtain trainings and contractual agreements to either be written into their funding source, or they pay me as a contractor to come do workshops on the same topics that I will be doing with individual therapy clients in one-on-one therapy. But I would rather, in this season of my life, empower more people at a time, including staff members, that can link people with clinical services long-term, than being limited to only serving 10 to 15 people at my capacity. I'm not doing it. I've been doing what I've been doing for a very long time. I love it. And I'm sure once you get connected with me and my teaching style, you'll probably love it too. We have a lot of content over on YouTube. We got some snippet versions on Instagram. But again, if you want to sign up for the boot camp, make sure to either on Instagram comment WFE or check the link in the bio, or on YouTube do the same. And I'll make sure to go back to this video and link it up in the description box and at the top of the comments in the pinned part. So it is June 23rd. The boot camp is going to go live until June 26th. After that, it will be available for replay. Again, you cannot access the replays like you're accessing this live on a public feed. All right. So I've enjoyed y'all. Thank you so much. Let's see. Let me go up to the comments. So Balance said, this right here is showing me to do the scared. Yeah. Everything that you want that's on the other side of that cliff, you just got to jump. You just got to jump. The most successful people are riskier than people who sit in a false evidence appearing real fear state. False evidence appearing real fear. Y'all got that? Because they know at the end of the day, and this is something that I've learned too. Let me just do a little therapy. What's the worst thing that could happen if you jump off the cliff? So I'll take the person who is at their job and the person who's left their job. The person who's at their job, the worst thing that could happen if you flop in business or it doesn't move or grow in the timeline that you created, not what he created for you, right? I mean, you could just go back and get another job. Oh my gosh. Like, look at the news. We will never be without a job. You in LA, go to Skid Row. No shade against our homeless population, but what I'm getting at is we will never be without a job. Now, will it pay us the amount that we want to get paid? No. They got all these platforms, not saying they pay well, but I'm just saying, like, you can go to all these online platforms like BetterHelp and all this kind of stuff. There's ways to get money, right? If I were a brand new clinician and I was scared to market, even though I got a coach that teaches me how to market and all these things, I would be on BetterHelp tomorrow. It's a starter to get me in the ropes of having my own clientele versus somebody telling me what to do. For the person that wants to jump off the cliff and you are already in your practice, again, the worst case scenario is that you just continue to see one-on-one clients. You might have to be on some insurance panels if you choose to. And if that's taking too long to do more private pay, then you can also go get a job part-time, become a clinical supervisor. When I left the county and I started having fear come up a little bit for me, like I had got married. I didn't know when we were going to have a baby. I didn't know how I was going to do this new level called life, right? So I was making $15K a month, but I was still scared. I don't care how much money you make. When you go to a next level, there's going to be a sense of, can I do this? That comes across your mind. And you need to pump yourself up like, yeah, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? And so even though I was telling myself that, the little devil right here was just like, no, I don't know. Right. So I fooled myself into going back to the county job for 43 days and left. They lost my paperwork. So that was a sign from God. I wasn't supposed to go back anyway. I went to a clinical supervisory job twice, training pre and postdoc students. I was there each time from like 6 months to a year. They did give me 50% off my insurance. I actually loved the work, but it was just more, I graduated at that point, meaning my group practice needed more of me. So I could not give that time to someone else's company that I needed to give my own. But I loved clinical supervision. But think about it. What's the worst thing that could happen if you go out on and you stand on business and it don't work out? You go get a job. It's not that hard. It's not. Some of y'all can literally probably go back to your old job and your spot will still be there, right? So, all right. So let me wrap up, y'all. So yeah, that is it right there. Next level is here. And it's a bit unsettling, yes, but I know I got me. Exactly. And that's the confidence that you got to roll with, right? One book that I recommend, I read it one day on YouTube. I read like a chapter or something. So if you go to Amazon, y'all write this down. I'm gonna give y'all a couple of, because all my books are in boxes right now. I'm trying. Oh no, hold on. So random. audio podcast. Excuse me. So excuse me, y'all. Let's see. There's another book that I'm looking for, but I'll just give you the name of it. So write down his name. Oh, so you can't see it. Okay. I'm gonna tell you his name. Price, Price, Pritchett, Pritchett, Pritchett. So it's called the Quantum Leap Strategy. Now, what I would recommend before you read this book, this is the second level. You want to read U Squared, the word U, and then like the square, the number 2, same author. Read that book first. It is this thin, but I take out all my sticky notes and read it again and again and again because it talks about quantum leaping. So I would recommend his line of books. And what's dope about his books, he's an old schooler. I know U Squared. Here it is. U Squared. In the back of it, that's how I found this book because he listed out all his other books. And I was like, oh, okay, that's dope. Now, this author that I'm going to show you, one of my favorite books that we used to recommend in DTA, especially during 2020, It Is Done. It Is Done. Now, this is not his real name, but his author name is Richard Dotts. It is a literally 101 pages. It is good. I don't believe these are on Audible. You may be able actually to find some on Audible now, but when I was looking for them, they weren't. But man, me and my clients, we ate this alive over the last 5 years. So we got It Is Done. We have another one by Richard Dotts called Thoughtless Magic and Manifestations Through Nonverbal Protocols. So this is good. This is all mindset. This is I think I bought all his books. Another one, Getting into the Manifestation Zone, A Radical Way to Manifest 24/7. So same author, Richard Dotts. So if y'all just search his name, y'all see all his books. This one is good. If you have a hard time making a decision and dissolving a problem internally in your mind, dissolve the problem by shifting physical reality. Man, I'm about to read these books again. This was a good one. This was a good one. So dissolve the problem by shifting physical reality. Oh, there's another one. Now this, all my clients got this one when they joined our cohort between 2020 and 2021. Dollars flow to me easily. Woo! Dollars flow to me easily. This book, all these books are fire. Once you read one, you're gonna get really addicted, just so you know. I love books. Like books like this, like this. I can read these in 2 days. The Universe Will Lead You. The Universe Leads You. Richard Dotts. I have a whole lot of other books like to the right, but they're in containers. But these are the books I can grab real quick. So U Squared. So Price Pritchett and Richard Dotts. Okay. So let's wrap up. It is officially 10:09. For my audio podcast listeners, I apologize of any edits that probably should be taken out, but I'm just going to upload this with no intro, no outro, just so you can tap in. It's raw, it's uncut, but it's good because I just wanted to let you tap in. If you want to watch the video version, just hop on over to YouTube. But by now you didn't listen to the whole thing. So all right, y'all. I will see y'all in the boot camp if you are participating. Last thing I wanted to share, more so for resources, is this. And so some people were asking about this. So it's a different name on my store, but it's called like the product, like Profitable Streams of Income bundle. And so you can actually get access to that if you're on Instagram by just commenting the word bundle. Again, on YouTube, it's on my main page at the top with all of my links. Now, the benefit of having that bundle, let me explain. So let me pull up the list of things because we did update it in the last couple of days. Let me share with you what you're going to get. It is valued at $397, but it's at $49. Okay. So what you're going to get is a total of about 5 things. So you're going to get 22 clinical expansion ideas for therapists and healers, 60 digital products ideas for therapists, social workers, and healers, our abundant vacation guide and SOP templates, because some of y'all just be trying to leave your office with no systems. As a bonus, you're going to get what's called our Glow with Live toolkit, which is a step-by-step process of how to level up your live, like I'm going live right now. You'll also get what's called a business resource guide and some other stuff. And so make sure that you tap in to get that guide. You also will get the brag resume, but it's $49. Grab it. And you can start making your decision on what stream of income will be your next. At least it will give you ideas to think outside the box. All right. So I will talk to y'all tomorrow in the boot camp. It is late, so I need to turn in. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye.